Now I'm mobile, so I don't have specific access to my slide deck. What I want to do before we start the meeting is just flag that the Linux Foundation meetings are all held under the antitrust policy notice. You'll find that on our website. If you've got any questions about that, let us know. So I guess this call is all about status update and where people are.
It'll be quite short, probably. Hi all.
Hi there.
Hello there.
So we had various open issues on GitHub. Did people have any chance to look into them, get them closed, and where do you want to go next?
I popped some questions about the format. I mean, I've got 3 sites to review, but they were already in Markdown and they looked good to me. So I don't know if there is any specific requirements or a template that we need to follow. I looked at the other sites that were reviewed. Well, not sites, but Markdown pages. And they looked fine. So I don't know if there is any changes. I mean, I got this assignment of 3, and they look good to me. So I don't know if there is any specific format we need to follow.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
It was very silent because I had the wrong headset connected.
That happens. I did send a few emails across a few emails with Argentinian government because I got Argentina. Unfortunately, there isn't much I can add to what's already there. Argentina is part of that agreement that hasn't changed, and it seems like there is no such thing. I mean, I cannot state that for sure, but they transfer me from trade. They transfer me to a department that deals with export of basically guns and anything that is warfare equipment. There seems to be nothing to regular export of anything containing encryption. So it seems like what we had there from the 90s is still valid. At least I cannot really add much because they sent me to someone else and that someone else didn't answer, but seems to be updated as it is.
And, for those who just came in a minute or 2 later or with audio difficulties, the real question is, where do we go next? And Julian, thank you very much for having a look at the Markdown files and also for cross-checking with the government. Did other people have a chance to look at their issues? What's their impression of the status, and what's the next step?
So I've looked at the French website from SSI, which is the organization that actually provides all this kind of information. I've actually edited the French.md file just to add the direct link to the website, because in the original file it was a link to ssi.gov.fr. I've linked to the specific page that includes the legislation. Now what I need to do is take the full text of the MD file and verify every current fact to reflect what's in the ssi.gov.fr website, which is going to take some time. Or basically, the easy way is to basically delete everything and copy paste from the website. But the website's in English, so in French. So I need to find the best way to do this. But I have the information at hand, and since I've edited the bottom of the MD file, now there's the direct link to the original French site. So it's a matter of doing the work now. The data is there and identified, at least for that part.
So it sounds like we're reaching pretty good point on the open issues. Just time is the main constraint.
And to be honest, I've been
do
on
we-
vacation and I've been very lazy catching up and getting back to this. So my bad.
Well, it's, you know, it's been one of those years where summer seems to have landed and gone immediately. There's been no
No, it's right.
noticeable time passing.
It's right back here, summer. I mean, people are going to the beach where I live in the evening. And so, but it's more of that I've been moving around all over the place. So I can't blame the beach. I can't even blame the beach.
Yeah, in my case, I feel like I kind of was in February and now I noticed it's October, so I'm not sure where all the time went.
That didn't go fast.
Uh, yeah, it's one of those years. When it comes then to the overload of work, you know, people have open issues and they'll be doing that. But as Julian said, a lot of our markdown on critical areas looks reasonable. Should we already proceed then to perhaps asking the lawyers from, let's say, Ericsson to have a look at the main like EU, Germany, Wassenaar agreement pages and just see if they think it's currently in date or not, or needs updating? Or do we wait until the open issues are closed?
I would actually directly suggest that they have a look at it because the format of the MD files is pretty okay. So it's more a question of, you know, having as many people as possible start looking at the actual data and updating it. And you know, we can all look at whatever country we find, but an expert that in that subject will probably provide much better information than we can.
Right. Okay.
So
So
I
we'll
would
ask.
definitely tell the lawyers to have a look at the files and provide, you know, feedback, updates, whatever makes sense.
Sounds good. And quickly, you know, checking, do other people have any questions about or comments about the current status? You know, how are you feeling about where we're at?
In my case, I haven't managed to do very much on this particular project. Internally within the company, we've been trying to make things move a bit further. There are two areas that are relevant to mention here. One is that we had an internal seminar between the software organization, the legal organization, and a bunch of other interested stakeholders, specifically on software and export control and how we should be handling it. We invited in an external consultant who is an expert in this area. I have to admit, I was a little worried that it was going to be somebody who was very much aware of the legislation and not very much aware of the software. But that turned out to be not true. He turned out to really know his stuff, which was quite surprising. One of the things that I was keen to talk to him about was understanding the depth of analysis we have to do for dependency trees. And obviously, this is an assessment that was given by him to one of his customers, so it is not generally applicable to the wider world. But his advice agreed with my expectation, which is that as long as we can ascertain that if a given package contains encryption and things like that, and provides access to it via APIs, and we don't use any of those APIs, and they are not exposed to the outside world, then it's equivalent to the encryption not being there. If the facilities aren't accessible and are not used, then that's okay, which limits how far you have to go in the dependency reviews. He talked a fair amount about mass market production and things like that, and exclusion for that. One of the things that I wasn't happy to hear was his impression that if you've got a embedded Linux system, then because you've embedded it into your product, all of that software is now relevant because it's no longer freely published. And therefore, you're going to have to deal with the fact that Linux systems contain encryption capabilities in a general and arbitrary way, which is going to be a lot more work. But as a result of all that, we are setting up an internal work stream, which I'll be one of the driving forces between the software organization and the legal organization and the IT organization, so we can bake this into our build tools and things. So I'm hoping that what will come out of this will be useful things that I can feed back into this group. But at the moment, I am completely remiss because I haven't done any of my actions from the previous call.
Steve, just to recap and making sure I understood, because this is the same understanding that I have from my old times, is that if the software is shipped with the product, it is irrelevant if it is being used or not. But if it is an external dependency that is not shipped within the product, then it just falls out of the scope, right? Is that what you said?
No, that isn't what I said. I didn't talk about that at all. No, what I was talking about was if you have a set of dependencies, a tree of dependencies, transitive dependencies. My question was, how far do you have to go in analyzing that tree of dependencies before you can say we're okay? If you've got 10 layers.
That I've got, Steve. But then,
all right,
if those dependencies are shipped within the product, so if you are putting that in a device, that device is living with a bunch of dependencies that are not really being used, my understanding is that it still applies, and whatever cryptographic algorithms. Again, I am not an expert, right? This is just it touches upon what I've done in the past, and what I understood at the time was that even if the dependencies are not really being used, if the difference is if they are shipped or not. That is in my mind, and it would be very nice if we can get someone to, because that is a different understanding, right, Steve?
Yes. Are you talking about where you, for example, upload some software onto GitHub and it has a set of packages or requirements, or are you talking about something like system libraries where you expect to dynamically link against them at the recipient's machine?
Exactly. Well, in many cases, you have dependencies that are not really used, but are included in the package. They're packaged with the product. So they're physically, the software is not being used, but is delivered with the product. In that case, as far as I understand, those cryptographic algorithms that, even if they are not being used, should be part of the ECCN formula. Now, if it is a runtime dependency or something that is not actually in the product, is required, but is not shipped in the product, is downloaded on the fly or runtime or whatever it is, then in that case, that will not apply because that is not exported, physically speaking. I mean, these are things that maybe, don't really make a lot of sense when you think about it from our technical side, but it's this big gap between law and programming.
Indeed.
So
we didn't cover that particular one, although I think that might make a difference depending on whether you also use the functionality, if you're dependent on it.
Okay.
I don't know. But the point of my summary is that although I have been busy, it's all been busy on internal things that I haven't yet really contributed to the OpenChain project in the past couple of months.
Unforgivable.
I know. I shall report for reprogramming and re-education forthwith.
Excellent. We're awaiting you in Takamatsu City, Japan. Yeah, no, it sounds good that this stuff is happening internally, though. It'll give us lessons learned, I think. And it's just really heartening to hear that the expected hurdle of people not knowing software isn't what occurred, which maybe is one of the things that would put people under the most pressure, that they think, oh my God, our team won't know what to do. So, that's really valuable for us, I think, to hear this. All right. It sounds like basically it's time to see if we can have some volunteer lawyers and to get some work done, to work on our issues. And apart from that, I think Apart from that, I think we're done. Is there any other business you'd like to raise today?
Not my side.
Okay. Then our great challenge is to get working on those issues. And meanwhile, I'll go and see if we can find any friendly lawyers to have a look at the material and let us know if the material looks up to date on EU, WASNR, and perhaps Germany or Sweden to get started.
Okay.
All
I'll
right.
do my
Have a
best to try
beautiful
to
day.
pull people in. All right. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you. That's much appreciated. Take care and have a beautiful day.
Thanks.
You too.
Bye bye,
Bye-bye.
everybody.